You know what your first thought is when you wake up each morning? Is it, it's a new day, or here we go again? The difference between these two thoughts determines whether you're living or merely surviving. Today, I want to talk about a truth we all know, but rarely face. Most of us are waiting for the right moment, waiting for perfect conditions, waiting for life to give us permission to start truly living. But here's the problem. That permission slip will never come. Let me ask you something. Have you noticed that our entire society is built on delayed gratification? From elementary school, we're taught to sacrifice the present for the future, study hard to get into a good university, work hard for promotions and raises, save money to buy a house for so-called security. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi revealed a profound insight in his classic work, Flow. True happiness doesn't come from the moment we achieve our goals, but from the process of being fully engaged in present activities. He calls this the flow state. But our education system, our work culture, even our family values tell us the opposite. The present doesn't matter. What matters is the future. It's like saying your current life is just a rehearsal, and the real performance is yet to come. But, my dear friend, what if I told you that this real performance might never begin? Let's look at this from another angle. Existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre proposed a revolutionary viewpoint in his philosophical system. Humans are thrown into this world. We don't choose to be born, but we have the freedom to choose how to live. In Being and Nothingness, Sartre emphasized that each of us faces existential anxiety. This anxiety doesn't come from external threats, but from realizing we have absolute freedom to choose our life path. This freedom is both a gift and a burden. Now you might think, this sounds very philosophical, but what does it have to do with my daily life? It has everything to do with it. Because Sartre's viewpoint directly challenges our habit of waiting. If we truly have the freedom to choose, why do we hand this freedom over to time, to circumstances, to other people? Another thinker I want to mention is Viktor Frankl, the psychologist who survived Nazi concentration camps. In his profound work, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl documented his observation. Even in the most extreme circumstances, people can still choose their attitude. Frankl's concentration camp experience led him to a profound conclusion. We cannot always choose what happens to us, but we can always choose how to respond to what happens to us. He wrote in his book, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Let's return to reality. Have you noticed that we're living in an unprecedented era? We have more choices than any period in history, yet we feel more confused and anxious than ever before. Social media shows us countless possible lifestyles, but it also traps us in comparison. We see others highlight moments and forget that these are just fragments of their lives, not the whole picture. This comparison culture intensifies our waiting mentality. We always feel we're not ready yet, haven't reached a certain standard, haven't earned certain qualifications. But what is the standard for being ready? Who defines this standard? Let me share a real story. I know a friend who has been saying she wants to learn painting since she was 25, but always says, when I have time, when I have money for classes, when I retire. Now, she's 45 and still waiting. You know what's most ironic? The time she spends on her phone each day would be enough for her to complete a painting. Here I want to quote another profound thinker, Alain de Botton. This Swiss-British philosopher proposed a subversive viewpoint in status anxiety. Our definition of success is largely socially constructed, not from our genuine inner desires. De Botton repeatedly emphasizes a theme throughout his works. We need to re-examine what constitutes a good life. He believes true wisdom lies not in blindly pursuing socially approved success markers, but in finding our own life rhythm and value system. Imagine if you didn't need to prove anything to anyone. How would you live? If you didn't need to meet any external expectations, what would you choose? The answers to these questions might be simpler and more profound than you think. I remember reading a study that surveyed terminally ill patients about their biggest regrets. The top regret wasn't about things they had done, but things they hadn't done. Not mistakes they made, but possibilities they never tried.
Now,
let's talk about what to do specifically. Because recognizing the problem is just the first step. Real change requires action. First, I suggest you do a time audit. Record how you spend your time for a week, without any judgment, just objective recording. You'll be surprised to discover how much time you spend on unconscious activities, scrolling social media, watching meaningless videos, participating in unnecessary social activities. Second, start asking yourself some deep questions. What gives you genuine satisfaction? What activities make you lose track of time? What kind of conversations make you feel fulfilled? The answers to these questions are your authentic self's compass. Third, start some small rebellions. I'm not talking about destructive rebellion, but gentle challenges to your habitual patterns. For example, if you always say, "I don't have time to read," try reading for 5 minutes daily. If you always say, "I can't draw," pick up a pen and doodle. Now, let's talk about what to do specifically. Because recognizing the problem is just the first step. Real change requires action. First, I suggest you do a time audit. Record how you spend your time for a week, without any judgment, just objective recording. You'll be surprised to discover how much time you spend on unconscious activities, scrolling social media, watching meaningless videos, participating in unnecessary social activities. Second, start asking yourself some deep questions. What gives you genuine satisfaction? What activities make you lose track of time? What kind of conversations make you feel fulfilled? The answers to these questions are your authentic self's compass. Third, start some small rebellions. I'm not talking about destructive rebellion, but gentle challenges to your habitual patterns. For example, if you always say, "I don't have time to read," try reading for 5 minutes daily. If you always say, "I can't draw," pick up a pen and doodle. My friend, I want to end today's sharing with a quote from Sartre. "Man is condemned to be free, because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does." This freedom might feel frightening, but it's also our greatest gift. You don't need anyone's permission to start truly living. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions, because perfect conditions will never come. Today, starting from this moment, choose one thing you've always wanted to do but have been postponing. It doesn't need to be big, doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to be real. Because real life is composed of these seemingly small but meaningful choices. Stop waiting, start living. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now.